newly elected president of another country. Again, we did it in Iraq. We did it in Libya. Now we want to do it in Syria. Okay? So it's the same story. And they're not stopping. And Syria was one of the countries that Wes Clark Jr. Sr. Said they were out at the bomb after 9/11. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, it would be kind of like, let's say if you had Occupy Wall Street, right? And then taking Occupy Wall Street, which was a Democratic protest calling for some reform, and then hijacking that into an armed insurgency, arming the most fanatic people all over the world, bringing in Uzbekis and Afghanis and Pakistanis to wage jihad. That's what it would be like. Because there were protests in 2011 in Syria calling for democratic reform. It is a police state. There were real protests. But at the same time, there was also a concerted effort by these countries you're talking about, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the U.S., to support militants who were also attacking police forces. And the Syrian government responded very harshly. There was a crackdown. But look, no matter how they responded, I don't think they could have avoided this turning into a war. You don't wage a war on civilian protesters. If you're going to defeat a civilian uprising, you can do it pretty quickly. It happened all over the Arab Spring. Okay, this was a war where Syria was flooded with sophisticated weapons. The reason Russia came in on Syria's side was only after the U.S. gave anti-tank missiles, which were just wiping out Syrian soldiers. And they were winding up in the hands of Al-Qaeda. Most of the anti-tank missiles that the U.S. put into Syria ended up in the hands of Al-Qaeda, and that is why we now have the province of Idlib controlled by Al-Qaeda, the largest Al-Qaeda safe haven since 9/11. That's thanks to the U.S. And that is what Syria was fighting back against. Whatever you think about the Syrian government, they have plenty of problems. There's an entrenched, Ba'ath Party that goes back decades. That there's all kinds of critiques of them that are legit. But nothing gives us the right to flood this country with weapons to destroy it and leave it in ruins. And it's like it's incredible what saying that opinion in U.S. media culture, whether it's progressive or mainstream, is considered somehow supporting a dictator. What is it? It's opposing a dirty war, and it's actually opposing the dictatorship of the U.S., which says that we have the right to destroy your country with our weapons, and when we lose, we're going to make you suffer with our sanctions. That's actually our dictatorship that we're imposing on Syria, and all these dupes who call themselves journalists are the ones marching in lockstep with it.
It's the equivalent of, in the run-up to the Iraq War, if you debunk the weapons of mass destruction lie, they would say you're pro-Saddam Hussein. You're an apologist for Saddam Hussein. No, you're just doing journalism and you're debunking the war lies, the pro-war narrative. And that's what the Young Turks should be doing. Of course, they never do. They're always pro-war. They wanted Trump to bomb Syria more. They even though Jen Huger was skeptical of what the hell was going on, he called the bombs that Trump did Nerf bombs and said he should have bombed Syria more. That was Jenkins. You know that, right? He called it Nerf bombs. I'm not making that up. It is unbelievably disconcerting to see something like just their flex is just, these are Russian. These are like, what is this, 1950? What is going on? It's just nuts. Beyond nuts. And I think Aaron, their donor base, they're feeling the heat, and I think that's why they're flailing now. They're attacking people like you. They're attacking people like Julian Assange. Of course, their fans saw through them on Forced to Vote, and I think they see through them on this too. I think your character is impeccable, and I think you've won the award for Russiagate, and everything you've done on the OPCW leak has also been, nobody could challenge it on the facts ever, and that's why they don't challenge you on the facts, and that's why they tried to smear you from behind a paywall.
And they may be failing, but look, on the positive side, genuine leftist media space is thriving, because people now can see through all this stuff. After 4 years of Russiagate, where people were constantly told, this is it, this is the big thing, and they saw all these purportedly progressive people go along with it. A lot of people have gotten fed up, and that's why they turn to shows like yours, and that's why the Gray Zone has developed a huge audience recently, because we're providing something that nobody else is doing. And not only that, they're not only not doing real adversarial journalism, they're going along with establishment propaganda. So I kind of wish it wasn't this way, because I like getting along with people, and I don't want to spend all this time time making fun of people and responding to smears, but look, if that's how it is, it's how it is. And it's one day history will be written about this time when it's just such a sad time for media, but also maybe a positive one too, because it really showed who was deeply committed to something, who's committed to doing their job well with that,
people to find each
not
other.
trying to be accepted by some imagined establishment comfort zone. Like Cenk talked to, I didn't see that clip until you showed it, but that's when Cenk was like, enjoy your Russian blanket or something like that. What Cenk is actually doing is projecting. He's trying to snuggle himself inside the establishment blanket,
That's exactly
thinking that will bring him
that I've never heard him say
like,
before.
it's an empty
I heard Kyle say, for example, that he supports